All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to The Contractor. Josh is behind the camera once again. My partner in crime, Mr. Nick Holmes. In front of me, you're looking very handsome today, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And we're looking a little different today. We are in studio. We're in the Contractor Barndominium Specialist Studios here at our main office. And guess what? It's going to be a podcast. We're going to be having podcasts here where we're going to bring in guests. We're going to bring in business owners. We're going to talk not just Barndominiums, but we're going to talk about community. We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about everything. Take it away, man. What are we doing? What are we doing here?
Yeah, so we're going to try to set this up to bring in people from all over the industry and really kind of hone in on kind of what the big questions in the market actually are. So
speaking of questions, our phones are constantly ringing, asking Barndominium questions. And right before Nick and I started rolling here on the camera, there's a typical question that's always being asked about the process. Mr. Holmes, take it away.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know where to start, and that's the biggest question: is how do we start? Right. How do we get going? We can do these multiple different ways. So whether or not you have land, you need land, you're looking for land, you have a realtor, whatever the case may be, we've got a way to place people and get them down the right path that they need to be going to. A lot of times we want to go ahead and at least reach out to some type of lending and find out if you're not a cash buyer, are you pre-qualified?
Right. We've been blessed, I could say, with a lot of people coming in with cash, which is fantastic. Yep. And also, people are always wondering, and I want you to answer this, comps and how is it going to comp out? So can you explain that to
the So we actually just had a couple of appraisals done on one of the models that we have. A lot of the comps that they used were comps that were just your regular brick and mortar house.
Right.
So they do comp out pretty well. We do have 2 Barndominiums in Hernando County that are able to be used as comps that we know of at least. But they're coming out pretty well. They're pretty.
That's awesome. It is. So that's happening. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. Also, people are asking about insurance.
Yep.
Talking about that.
Yeah, and that's where we definitely want to try to bring in some of these industry professionals to talk specifically about that. Right. I do know that there are a couple different carriers that are all for Barndominiums. They treat them exactly the same as a regular house. And there's some underwriters that are a little bit cautious about it right now.
Right.
So,
and it's right now. Let's just be real. It's right now. And we are, like you said, working with the ones that are treating it like a regular house, and there are some that are cautious. But it's right now, guys, because it's so new. It's different.
It's just unknown.
It's unknown.
Yeah.
It's unknown to Florida. Right.
Because
of our different wind codes and building codes and so forth here.
And look, Florida's like the most litigious state when it comes to insurance anyway. So there's always going to be gun-shy insurance agents. But at the end of the day, most of this is working out to where they're treating it like a regular house. And, to be completely honest, at the end of the day, it is a regular house, right?
It is. I guess we could, it's up to us, right? It's up to us to change the mindset or create a mindset of what this really is. And people just think, is it tube steel? No. Is it just a metal shed? No. Can I tear it apart like a can, like a Coke can? No, you cannot.
Right. You're not putting your fist through the metal there. Yeah.
So another question actually was,
just to touch back on that, though, I mean, what we need to kind of change the conversation to be is, instead of is it a regular house or is it a barndominium, on regular homes, you still have craftsmen. You still have, your European, your French-inspired. Barndominium is just another category in homes.
I'm glad you brought that up, sir. I had a conversation yesterday with a realtor, and their mindset, this is actually, I'm sorry I didn't bring this up to you. Their mindset is as we should change the name. Now, mind you, Barndominiums are a Barndominium, right? Okay. So the thought process was, is this the new wave construction? Everyone was throwing out names left and right. New engineer construction. Is it industrial building? Is it? And if you if we think about it, we're that Barndominium. We're also, I hate to say it, taking a specific demographic that is no longer interested because we're saying the word barn.
Yep.
Right. Hey man, I don't have a barn with 7 pigs and 3 donkeys and a horse. Right. So it is the term that was used, but maybe we become the forefront. Maybe we become the pioneers in giving it a different name as well, because at the end of the day, it's affordable housing in a sense, right? depending on the levels that you can get to.
Right.
But these are very exquisite in luxury as well. I mean, these get really high end.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when you start getting into we've got a couple models even. We've got a 6,000 square foot model.
Right.
You know, a 6,000 square foot model at any standard is $1 million home.
Yep.
You know, so that's a great conversation to have.
Yeah, we're gonna put a pin in that, and we're gonna come back to it, because at the end of the day, it's cool. Like, it's a Barndominium, that's the way it is, but it's something else too. Right. So I think we do both. I just got to figure out that name.
So something that they're working towards in Hernando County right now with our MLS is actually getting a separate classification for Barndos in the MLS to make them searchable that way. Right. That's going to make making comps and finding stuff like that incredibly easy. But you know, at the end of the day, if we really stop thinking about it as a separate item, you know, it's a house.
It's you're going to build a home now. It's just so new. We don't know, and that's the names just all over the place. But it's a home. Yep. We're building your home, right? And that's what it is. And is it the industrial look home? Is it modern industrial? Who knows? Yep. We'll figure it out though, and you'll hear it first at the contractor. What else is going on, man? So we're building teams still, and we are very transparent. We have beautiful teams together. We have a great sub and trade base, but we're still also building more as well because of the demand. So if you want to touch on that for bringing people in.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got such a big demand to go ahead and get these built, and surprisingly, they're not all in the same area. Right. You know, we're seeing a lot of Wesley Chapel. We're seeing a lot of, you know, North Hernando, Citrus County, those type of areas. Obviously, it's not practical for the same type of sub to travel all over the state. You know, you're not going to build out a team that's robust enough to go ahead and cover all that. So we definitely need more subcontractors. We need more help across the area. And we're basically going to try to keep those projects to the area that those subs want to work in. Right. You know, make it profitable for them.
Cream of the crop. You know, we're really looking through all of our trades, all of our trade base. Obviously, everyone's got to be licensed, insured, workman's comp exempt, all that fun stuff. And at the end of the day, we are picking. We're picking the best team we possibly can, and people that work well together. You know, we don't want there to be any animosity between, you know, staff and trades and so forth, and superintendents and so forth. So we're really going to be picky, and it's almost as an honor. And vice versa. If we're picking you and you're selecting us, and that's an honor as well, because a lot of these trades have been in business 20, 30, 40 years. And that's really important that, you know, we work well with them too.
Absolutely. You know? Yep. So I want to touch on another thing that commonly comes up. You know, everyone right now, we've already told you, hey, we probably do a low end for 130, high end for the 160 to 170 range, right? We are working hard right now to get a spec sheet laid out as to
bear with us
what that actually entails. But we do get a lot of questions for, you know, what does the low end entail? Just knowing what that low end is, you can kind of set your expectations for what the high end's going to be.
I love it.
Right?
Love it. Yeah.
So that low end, the lowest prices that we were doing are all going to be level 1 granite. Okay. We're not doing anything less than level 1 granite. Okay. The Formicas, all that kind of stuff, for the pennies difference that it actually is, it doesn't make any sense.
There used to be a significant cost difference, but now with wood and everything the way it is, it's really not as much as you think. So level 1 granite continues.
Yep. So level 1 granite's going to be a big thing in there. The difference that we're going to see in some of the cabinetry is going to be, are we dealing with plywood cabinets? Are we dealing with hardwood cabinets? Right. Okay. MDF, that type of stuff. So in our base price, we currently have plywood cabinets factored. Okay. They are all RTA cabinets, are ready to assemble.
So ready to assemble, folks. Yep. When you get a full custom cabinet and you're getting a full craftsman that comes in, I mean, they're building it from scratch. You do measurements on the wall. We have a 12-foot run, whatever the case is, and then you go and actually you select the cabinet, like a 24, a 15, an 18, and so forth, and you select the cabinetry for specifically that. They're ready to assemble. Our team puts it together, and then they go to the wall. They're actually a great cabinet.
They're great cabinets.
You're saving a significant amount of money versus having a full custom woodworker coming in.
And I would go ahead and I'd dare to say that the majority of people that are probably listening to this and probably hear this have probably never seen custom cabinetry except for very specific cases, you know, very specific businesses and stuff like that. RTA cabinets, box cabinets, however you call it, it's going to be basically what you would find in a catalog, find off the shelf. So they come in 3-inch increments typically.
Yep.
It's a really flexible type setup
Yeah,
there.
and I will tell you from my experience, especially from the past, we're putting RTA cabinets in multi-million-dollar projects. So there's nothing wrong with these cabinets at all. So what do we got next?
So the next thing that we typically get to is the flooring. That's going to be where our big differences are, right? So at 130 square foot, we are assuming carpet in the bedrooms.
Yep.
Okay. We're also assuming LVP in common areas.
So LVP, for those that you don't know by now, that's luxury vinyl planking. Right. Very, very common as well in today's world.
So we get Regan to be my little translator here.
I mean, sometimes he speaks lingo, and then people just don't know what it is.
Right, exactly. So LVP, the vinyl plank in common areas. Right. That's also going to be vinyl plank in most of your bathroom areas. Right. We don't start getting into like full tile bathrooms until we start getting into the higher end pricing.
But we just to let everyone know, we are tiling. So you're on the bathrooms, when you put your cement board, your hardy board backer on that, then we put a product called Red Guard that goes on that as well. So we're never going to have leaking. It doesn't have any of that issue. And then also we tile to the ceiling height. You see a lot of builders, they'll leave that. They'll leave that line and then it's drywall from there above. Yep. We don't do that. We tile all the way up to do it the right way.
Absolutely. And for our base price of the 130, we do have tile factored in for the entire shower enclosure.
Love it.
So any area that is designated as a wet area in any type of our build will have tile in it.
Right. So just to let everyone know too, people are like, well, what about fans? What about this? Listen. We can go into this all day. That's something that customers just go out and purchase, and then we install them. Right? You want to touch on that? Because we have doorknobs, this and that. It gets out of control.
There's just too many different options for stuff like that. The only things that we are going to have included as a base is going to be a lot of your knobs, a lot of your switches, LED can lights. There's not many options in them, right?
Right.
So those things are the things that we automatically include. It's in the price, built in. We do have some allowances built in for lighting packages, but at the end of the day, that's going to be go meet with Regan, pick out your stuff.
You're going to come with us, we'll pick out your stuff, and quite frankly, we're one of the few builders that will pass on our contractor savings to you, right? Like we don't need, there's a lot of builders that want to sell you the uplighting package. They want to sell you the doorknob package because they're making pennies and dollars and cents on every single thing. We don't care about that. Here's where you go buy it. Here's our contractor discount. God bless, have fun. Right?
Yeah, and as long as it's purchased from one of our supplier
houses,
we install it, we warranty it, no big deal there.
And the selections are actually quite good for your bathrooms and tile and so forth. But if you want above and beyond the allowance, because there's tile, that you go out there, or some people want those very large tile and they're mud set, and that takes a 2-person team to lay tile. So those are going to be more expensive. But for the baseline, like Nick was talking about at 130, it's still a very good selection of tile.
Yeah, and I really want to clarify on that 130 too.
Please,
That's one of those questions that keep on coming up, and we see some people get a little uneasy when we're starting to talk about, okay, well, if we're not in the base fixtures, we're not immediately at 170 a square foot, right? So I think you and I had a meeting with a client the other day that was really harping on that square foot rate, on doing the math and figuring it out. Look, at the end of the day, this is just to let you figure out whether or not we're in the ballpark. If we're even designing a house that's the right size for you. So really what we want to go ahead and do is once we get that plan done, we're going to give you a bottom dollar number of, hey, this is your contract value for us to build this house. It's going to be transparent up front. You know what you're getting into before we ever go ahead and really finalize anything. But just want to, really stress and kind of reiterate those 130, 160 square foot numbers. It is just to go ahead and figure out if we are even in the same ball field.
But I will say this: it's not the old bait and switch, guys. Like oh, you're telling us these prices, and all of a sudden it's this much money. No, it's not. If anything, it's going to wind up being less. Like Nick said the other day, we met with a client in Newport Richey, and we threw some base numbers out, but the house is going to shrink, or they gave us this plan, and then Nick immediately recognized over 1,000 square feet of wasted space,
complete dead space.
Right.
Yeah.
So we reduced the size. We reintroduced the square footage into different parts of the house to make it more functional. Yeah. But anyway, like I said, it's just a baseline to start. I will say this. It's very, if you go above that, if you're in the 170s, 180s, you must have picked out gold, right? I mean,
that, or you went with a 900 square foot building, you know?
yes. Talk about, listen, it's not that it gets smaller, it gets cheaper. It's actually the other way around.
Right. I mean, we've got certain costs that are factored in that, you know, like your well, your septic, you know, those are going to be flat fee numbers regardless of how big this house ends up getting.
Right.
When we start going with smaller buildings, those don't divide out over the square footage the same. So yeah, of course, that well that might have been, you know, 70 cents a square foot or 30 cents a square foot, it could be $1.50 a square foot.
Right.
You know, so when you start going lower than that 2,000 square foot range, that's when we can't really use those numbers anymore as a hard gauge.
Right.
We need to really kind of reevaluate where we need to be and understand that if we're going small, we're going to have to price that one out just off the bat.
Perfect. And then we can go on forever, but we'll wrap this up here in a second. People are asking about flood zones, right? So can we build these in a flood zone?
We can. It gets substantially more expensive. So in a typical flood zone, especially in a type of coastal A area or anything like that, we typically need 12 to 24 inches above what the base flood elevation would be. So that base flood elevation is determined off of the FEMA maps, which is obviously the federal maps. And then each municipality does go ahead and enforce their own type of flood zone. So say you're on a property that has just a small amount of flood zone on it. When we go ahead and we build, we just need to make sure that we're above what the design flood elevation is. If that's only a couple feet, we can probably do that with the stem wall and bring dirt in. Okay. If we're talking over 4 foot, that's not really recommended for a stem wall. Normally in a typical house, we'd switch over to like a piling model at that point.
Right.
We're not going to be doing pilings on any.
It's an exorbitant amount of money.
It's going to get to where it's just not cost effective to do a Barndominium at that point.
Right.
So, yes, it's a possibility. Probably shouldn't be a possibility.
Gotcha. There you go. Well, that answers that. Yep. And we are, like I said, the majority of people, we are getting those calls that are more, and I don't want to say rural, but they have the acreage. They have the 6 acres. They have the 4 acres. So something else that popped up, this was another one that I needed to bring up to you. We had a situation in Pasco County where there was a dwelling on a piece of property. Well, that popped up again, another question. So I have a customer that owns 6 acres that we have a customer that has 6 acres that has a dwelling on it, wants to live in it and also build it at the same time. So how does that work?
Yep. There's a couple different ways that we can approach all that. So if we are planning on keeping the dwelling and having basically 2 dwellings at the same time, if that initial dwelling isn't similar to the Barndominium to where we'd be able to call the Barndominium like a mother-in-law suite.
Right.
You know, I think mother-in-law suites in every different area have different regulations on square footage, on the way that they look. If we're not trying to classify as a mother-in-law suite, then we will most likely have to go ahead and split the property somehow.
Gotcha.
Right. If we are planning on, say they're living in like a mobile home, and after the construction is done, they want to go ahead and either remove or demolish or whatever the primary residence may be, that can absolutely be done with the proper paperwork. Just when you get your CO for one, the other one comes off.
Got to come down.
Right.
And in today's world, what is the traditional cost to demolish, let's say, a 2,000 square foot dwelling?
I'd have to get an actual quote on that. Right. I have absolutely no idea.
So I'll range it. I threw it out there. You could edit it later. It's up to you. It's not up to the tens of thousands, but it's like 10 and under traditionally for that kind of cost. Just to let you guys know, just because we've done a few of them. So at the end of the day, there are a lot more questions and there's a lot more answers, but we're not going to be able to answer all of them today because we could really sit here for hours. But if you want to book an appointment with us, tell us how to get a hold of us.
Yep.
Tell them how to get a hold of us.
The easiest way is to go to barndo.build.
Yes.
That's our website. Go to the bottom of the page where we have our contact section. Fill out a quick little, I think it's a 4-question form.
Right.
And that'll go ahead and actually send us an email. It sends you an email as well.
Right.
And that'll put you into our call list to get onto the actual schedule.
Right. Which we're still working on a daily basis. I think Nick's got to add another 78 Poor guy. He's got to add another 78 to the call list that I got to go through here shortly. But every day, we're coming down and we're seeing the different questions. And I don't want to say a lot of tire kickers, but a lot of people in the very beginning just so intrigued, so interested because of the affordability. And now they're like, well, now that they know, now that they have this ammunition and they have all the answers, they're trying to figure stuff out. They're looking for property. We're getting them in touch with the right realtors as well. Also, if you want to be on the podcast, the Contractor Podcast, please reach out to me directly, 727-992-5703, and we're going to schedule you. And we're going to bring you on here, and or you can email me, and I'm still haven't memorized my email, and it's regan@the-contractor.co, regan@the-contractor.co, or just shoot me an email, and we'll set you up.
We'll throw it out there too. I mean, a big part of this is going to be education, right? So if you want us to come out and talk to your realtor group, you want us to come out and talk to, any type of insurance presentation or any type
mortgage
of
brokers, underwriting, right?
Any of those industries that are kind of partner agencies in this whole ordeal, please let us know. We'll come out, give whatever type of presentation that you're looking for.
We will put on a phenomenal presentation. On top of that, we will help and promote you and cross-promote with the contractor and your brand recognition as well. The benefit of that with us is that we know a little bit about marketing, and we're going to be able to get your message out there as well. We're actually marketing up north. There's a lot of things that we're doing, so we really look forward to it. You got anything else you got to add?
No, but I think that's all set. I mean, I'm excited that we got this finally set up.
We're getting there, but hold on. We're getting new chairs. I'm getting a new chair because this is just unacceptable. But Josh is behind the camera. Nick Holmes. I'm Regan Weiss for The Contractor, your Barndominium specialist.